Hi, everyone. I'm Ruffian Tittman, Executive Director of Friends of the Wissahickon, and we're thrilled today to have Erica Smith-Fishman join us for our second Creekside chat and talk about TreePhilly.
Hi.
Hi, Erica. How are you doing today? Before we dive
I'm good.
in,
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. StreamYard's a new one for me, but this is exciting. We're thrilled to be here streaming live. Before we dive into everything TreePhilly, just our little info about Friends of the Wissahickon. We're an official park partner of Parks and Recreation, and we work to conserve the 1,800-acre Wissahickon Valley Park. And what that means is we're working to make the park and the creek cleaner and more accessible, keeping our trails beautiful, working on the historic preservation of our structures, the WPA structures, the Valley Green Inn, and engaging the public in programming like this in the Wissahickon Valley Park. For folks who want to learn more, please check us out at our website, fow.org. All right. And Erica, you are the Community Forestry Manager at Philadelphia Parks and Recreation. That sounds like a big job. And we will be having a deeper conversation with you soon on April 14th about the Urban Forest Strategic Plan. But today we're talking about the amazing TreePhilly program, which is connecting residents with the resources they need to care for trees in their backyard.
Yeah.
And this is separate from the street tree program?
Yeah.
Or
so
together?
The TreePhilly program, the major program of that is our community yard tree program, which is focused on increasing the tree canopy on residential land in the city, providing resources in the form of free trees and education and support to plant trees and to care for them on their private property in their yards.
Awesome. So let's turn it over to you and talk a bit about the program. And then I'm sure, I know I have a whole list of questions, and I hope our audience will ask questions as well. And we'll get to those after some information on the program.
Great. So the TreePhilly program is a really big partnership. It is a partnership between Philadelphia Parks and Recreation and Fairmount Park Conservancy, and it's sponsored by TD Bank. So we've been giving away free trees through this program since 2012. We're coming up on our 10-year anniversary, and in that time, we've given away over 25,000 trees.
Wow.
Some of the trees that people planted in the very first seasons are 30, 40 feet tall now, depending on the species and how happy they are in the location that they're planted in. Of course, we have some friends of the program who've been friends from the beginning, and sometimes we like to go visit some of those trees. So we have a wonderful friend in Roxborough, Ann Cohen, who has a couple of river birches in her yard, and she planted them specifically because she has some stormwater issues, and they are so happy. They're like 40 feet tall. And we get pictures all the time of people's trees in different yards from, different seasons over the years. And it's really nice to see how big some of these trees are. But yeah, we've been giving away trees for almost 10 years now. The way that we do it these days is that we are partnering very closely with community groups and working in areas of the city that have less tree canopy and are more vulnerable to environmental justice concerns. And so we really try to partner with groups and to support them in hosting the giveaways. And so the giveaways are open right now. People can go and register for a tree. The first thing that you want to do is to find a community giveaway that is close to you and then register through that community organization. And in that registration process, you will be able to choose your tree. We are doing everything with COVID-19 considerations for safety. So if you're doing a pickup event, you choose a time slot. And you can see in this little picture on the slide, we've got stations that you'll pull your car up to. It's contactless. Everyone will be wearing masks. And we are also offering delivery in some neighborhoods as well.
Wow.
So, yeah, we started doing this last spring because, of course, we wanted to still get trees out to people, but we wanted to do it as safely as possible.
Right.
And hosting an event that people come to is definitely less safe than delivering trees. And so we worked out the logistics of delivering trees, and now we've just increased the accessibility of the program by being able to bring trees to people's doorsteps.
I would imagine that it's hugely more accessible, and also maybe even a little more environmentally friendly if you have one vehicle driving around with the trees and everybody heading out in their car. So a lot of wins there. If you're a community group and you are interested in having a giveaway event, is there any information you could share on how folks might become a partner with you?
Yeah, so we usually open up an application for community groups to host events much earlier in the season, so around February for spring events and around August for fall events. We have an email list that we use to get the word out. But otherwise, the TreePhilly.org has all of the contact info that you need. Just know that if you want to host an event, you have to get in touch with us well in advance of the actual season. So yeah,
people would need to be planning now for August, or maybe even just for next spring.
Yeah, I think that we will be accepting a whole bunch of applications for fall events. So keep a lookout at the end of the summer for an application to host. We started out in 2012, we were doing about 4 events a season, and now we are doing 10s, or even the spring. Last spring, we actually had 22 events scheduled that we had to cancel. It was our biggest season yet. We had to cancel, but we did end up getting out a few hundred trees regardless. And now we've really ramped back up as people's capacity has increased to do the event again. But we try to host as many events as we can within the growing season. So there are definitely opportunities for community groups to join the team and to apply.
And what if individuals want to get involved? Maybe they have a tree. Are there volunteer opportunities with TreePhilly?
Well, at this point, because we're doing a lot of socially distant events, we don't have many opportunities to volunteer at the giveaways themselves. The community groups do often bring their own volunteers to the events, so there are opportunities to connect with that community group in your neighborhood. But the organizations, the Fairmount Park Conservancy and Philadelphia Parks and Recreation, have a huge number of volunteer opportunities through the Park Friends Network with your local park. We've got our Forest Steward program that we just implemented, where you can volunteer to work in the natural areas and the forested areas of the city. So we've got a whole lot of opportunities through those larger organizations to volunteer.
Excellent. And do you find that you have just enough trees every time, or is supply, or do you have supply demand issues, or can folks assist you at all? Do you need more trees, or how's that looking?
We definitely want to encourage as many people as possible to plant trees in their yards, regardless of whether they get them from us, and we can support them through care and education. We often give away about 1,000 trees each season, so that's around 2,000 each year. We, at this point, a decade in, we have perfected in some ways our supply and demand, what we are capable of distributing in a season. The thing that is tricky is we want to make sure that people are planting the right tree in the right place. And we also want to maximize tree canopy because the bigger the tree, the more benefits to people and animals and everything. And so that can get a little tricky because people have a lot of different reasons why they want a tree in their yard. And some people don't want that much shade, right? So we give away shade trees, medium trees, small flowering trees, fruit trees, trying to get the right tree for each person in their yard.
What's your number one tree for tree canopy? If people want your go-to tree.
If you have space for it, the white oak is one of the best trees that you can plant. It hosts the most wildlife and the most insects, which the rest of the wildlife depend on. And so it's a really great tree and maximizes canopy and benefits to everyone. This slide shows you some of the materials that we have to support you choosing what tree is right for you. So you can see we have the name of the tree, different growth requirements, different benefits. And then we have little diagrams showing you if you plant it in the front or back of your home, how big it will get after a few years. This is one of our favorite trees, a serviceberry tree. We give away a couple different types of serviceberries. They have really nice spring color, beautiful fall color, and they have edible berries. People, it's not a very common commercial berry, but it is completely edible, and it tastes a little bit like a blueberry, but it's in the apple family. So it's a really cool.
So you're getting something out of this tree all, 3 seasons, really, something really pretty to look at that's changing as it goes. So
yeah.
And these resources are available at TreePhilly.com, regardless of whether you get a tree from TreePhilly. You can still peruse this and get some information.
Yeah, we have
everybody can plant a tree if you want to.
Exactly. We have information about how to plant and care for a tree. The Pennsylvania Horticultural Society partners with us on a whole lot of things, and we often direct people to their videos that they've created for planting trees. You can see how to plant a tree, how to prune, how to water properly, and we often, promote each other's work. So there's a lot of great videos you can be directed to from them and from us. And yeah, if you just want resources for how to care. And then another partner, the Philadelphia Orchard Project, has all the information you need about fruit trees and how to properly care for them. So we often give away some of their materials with our fruit trees as well, so people know the best practices for that.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Wow, I've really, I got to the questions early, and I've been peppering you with them. Do you have a favorite tree other than the white oak that you love? Personal favorite.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on the season and the purpose.
What tree do you have in your backyard then?
Well, there is a really large red oak behind my house. It's in someone else's yard, but it provides me many benefits. So I'm always watching whenever they have someone work on it, like, are they doing the right thing? And in my front, I have a street tree, a crabapple, which has just started to leaf out, which is really nice. But I would say one of my favorite trees to give away is a black gum. It's a really nice medium to large tree. It has the most amazing fall color. It's really brilliant, glossy leaves, and the leaves start to turn in this really unique way where there'll be an entirely green tree and then there's like 5 bright red leaves on it. And then it just slowly turns. It's very cool. One of my faves.
Excellent. Excellent. How did you get into the tree world?
Well, I've always been really interested in plants. My grandmother had an amazing garden, and she just kind of brought me into that world. She had all sorts of plant nicknames for me, and like I was her little petunia, and she had an amazing crabapple with crab apples big enough that she could make crabapple jelly, and I would eat them all the time. And yeah, she just kind of taught me about plants in general. And so my whole academic career and professional career has been connecting people to plants. And I did get involved in trees specifically through UC Green in West Philly when I moved back to Philly after my grad school. I came and got really involved in planting trees through UC Green. And that's what got me into the community forestry world. Before that, I was doing a lot of urban agriculture and community gardens. So plants and people, really.
Excellent, excellent. And we were talking earlier before we went live that you have 2 little ones. Do they share your love of trees?
Oh yeah, my 4-year-old can identify most street trees at this point. And we've been very interested in all the little plants that are coming up, all of the bulbs that are coming up. My 2-year-old can identify a crocus very easily. They know all the different plants that are blooming now. And they have the benefit of going to an amazing school where they emphasize outdoor play and nature play. So they're really involved.
And where's your favorite forest in Philadelphia? I wonder.
I feel a little bit like a traitor to say it because I am a Parks and Rec employee. But I am really, really prone to John Hines Wildlife Refuge in Southwest Philly. It's one of my favorite places.
Yeah. What do you love about John Hines that makes it your favorite? For folks that are listening, they're hearing about these amazing children that can identify all these plants and want to go to these great places where you can experience that.
Yeah, I mean, John Hines has forests, it has wetlands, it has the lake, it has birds, it has all sorts of wonderful things to see. And the facilities are wonderful, and the rangers are amazing, and there's just great programs for kids too. So we love to go there. And we live in West Philly, so it's not too far away from where we live.
A nice trip for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see if we have any questions coming in. And do we want to talk a bit about the tree plan at all? A little bit, maybe? Teaser?
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
We'll be talking in depth April 14th, but maybe we can talk a little bit, give people a taste.
Yeah. So the Urban Forest Strategic Plan, we're going to be launching all of our public engagement efforts for that in April. It's gonna be the Philly Tree Plan. The mission is to establish a 10-year strategic plan for the planting and care of the urban forest. And the values that we've been guided by throughout the process and will continue to be guided by include environmental justice, community engagement, and sustainability. And so we have been working with a project team of other city departments and nonprofits and state and federal agencies for a few years now to get to this point. And we launched the planning process in October. So now we're really just right on the edge of being able to promote it citywide, get as much feedback from people as possible. We're going to be launching a photo contest for people to tell us their Philly tree stories in a visual way. We are going to have a citywide survey we want people to fill out. It's going to be translated into about 7 different languages. And we are going to all of the meetings across the city that we can to meet people where they are, go to their community meetings to talk about this and encourage people to provide their feedback. And then once we hear from everyone, we'll have a draft plan ready for public comment in the fall. And then we'll finalize that and begin implementation. And we're going to be, working on a 10-year timeline to improve funding, care, maintenance, planning, education, collaboration amongst agencies to support a healthy and equitably distributed urban forest in Philadelphia. So you can see here's our timeline. We're about smack in the middle, about to launch all of our public websites and resources for people to get involved. And when we say the urban forest, we are talking about every tree in the city. So folks who are familiar with Wissahickon, they, consider that an urban forest. But the urban forest that we're talking about includes backyard trees, alley trees, street trees, park trees, everything. So we're trying to support across all different land uses and ownership because the trees don't recognize that. they need to be supported.
Right, I'm a backyard tree.
Right, exactly.
Oh, that's good. This is exciting. I think, you're talking about your program having been in 2012 and seeing the growth of what was done since then, but I'm sure there's also other factors that have happened. And so as we look ahead the next 10 years to really have a strong plan that looks at the whole city is incredibly exciting. I know when we announced that we were talking with you, we had a number of partners reach out saying, we're so excited about this. So I think there's going to be a huge swell of support for this, and hopefully it'll be a national success model. So excellent. Do we have another slide that we should take a look at? No, and it's been me asking questions nonstop.
I think there are a couple questions in the comments, actually.
Okay, let's see here. Oh, I need to switch over. All right. We have one. Is this program only in Philly?
Well, the TreePhilly program is only in Philadelphia for Philadelphia residents, but there are other tree giveaway programs that you can access if you don't live in the city. So, for example, Pico gives away trees for people within their different service areas. There's a brand new tree giveaway partnership happening in Darby with Delaware County that the John Hines National Refuge and the Friends of Hines are partnering with the municipalities on the other side of the city line to give away trees in Delaware County. There are other programs in the suburbs that the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society does where you can access street trees through their Tree Tenders program. So there are other programs. The TreePhilly one is only for Philadelphia residents, though, for properties in the city.
We have another question about what kind of trees are available. I know you spoke a little bit about that it's kind of based on lot size and also conditions and people's expectation of what they think a tree is going to provide in their yard. But are they native trees or does it?
Yeah, so we try to give away as many native trees as possible for yards because they can because yard spaces are usually more protected, have more soil volume. Native species do well there, and we want to promote native species whenever possible. So we often will have a selection of trees that include large shade trees, small flowering trees, and fruit trees. Those are not native; those are cultivated fruit trees. And the trees that we're giving away this season are bald cypress, scarlet oak, shagbark hickory, which also produces edible, which is very exciting. That. Yep. Sweet bay magnolia, which is a nice small native flowering tree, and it flowers a little later in the season. Yellowwood, which again flowers a little later in the season, which is really nice. Carolina silverbell. We have another magnolia called the ash magnolia, which is a little new to us. We're trying to give away some species that are native to areas south of here for climate change resilience. We also have a pagoda dogwood, which is a nice native dogwood. And then the fruit trees we have include that serviceberry that I showed, a couple different serviceberry varieties. We have a dwarf mulberry, which is exciting.
Wow.
A European pear, which is going to require a lot more traditional fruit tree cultivation, much more frequent pruning. We do give away trees that are as disease resistant as possible, but cultivated fruit trees are kind of like pedigree dogs. They are more susceptible to disease. And a fig tree. And American plum as well. Sorry, that's the last one. American plum is another native. So we have a huge variety of trees. Even within our fruit trees, we tried to give away as many native trees as possible. Hope you have some cultivated varieties in there.
Okay, I have two more questions. I think sticking on trees, obviously, but the first one is what kind of trees are best to plant that have roots that won't uplift sidewalks? I know we're talking about backyard trees, but sometimes people have patios or and that kind of thing. So do you have any recommendations for a tree that will not destroy your sidewalk or patio?
Well, we try to include as much of that information as possible in the profiles. Some trees do have more surface roots, they're called, maples, zelkobas, things like that. They do have their roots towards the top. I mean, roots will go where the resources are. So we typically try to encourage people not to plant too close to structures or patios or driveways and things like that anyway, to avoid that type of a conflict. You want to give your tree as much soil volume as possible, not limit its growth by putting it too close to structures like that. And we also want people to get what they're expecting out of their tree. So we're trying to give them as much information as possible to choose the right tree for the right spot so that it's not going to cause a problem and they won't remove it in the future. So if you do look at the website, you can see some of the information about how big things are going to get, what the requirements are in terms of maintenance, if it does have if it needs better drainage, that kind of thing. And then surface roots, again, that information, we try not to give away too many trees that are going to cause issues like that, but maples are known for having surface roots. I just would avoid maples for sure.
Okay. And then more on the career end of things, if you were giving advice to someone who's interested, what's the best way to pursue a career in urban forestry?
Well,
or topics of study or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you can go about it in so many different ways. The community is full of folks who are researchers, practitioners, community organizers. There's a lot more jobs recently for community organizers in this field because forestry has traditionally been very top down in the way that it is implemented in cities because the institutions have a lot of the knowledge and the power. And we're trying to disrupt that. And the Philly Tree Plan is going to really explore that through the planning process. How can we be led by the communities and find out what communities need to support them and how trees can play into that? So I would say that in community forestry, your ability to talk to the community and organize is being valued more and more in this field. There are plenty of programs that you can go to study forestry proper and to get into research. And there are a lot of wonderful collaborations that we have with researchers. We have a field station of the Forest Service here in Philadelphia. We have great relationships with the different academic institutions that do work. So there's just a lot of different ways to get into it. I do have an academic background in horticulture and biology and plant biology. But really the way I got into community forestry was through my local tree tenders group through UC Green and getting leadership experience with community forestry that way. So I definitely recommend volunteering and getting leadership experience through that as a way of getting experience in the field as well.
Awesome. Well, I know I'm super excited to hear more about the tree plan process that's going to be unveiled. And again, folks, we'll be talking again with Erica on April 14th for a Valley Talk. And I hope everyone will check out the TreePhilly website and find out about events coming up, and I'm sure how to continue to support the program as well. So we're super excited. Again, another advertisement for our Valley Talk here, April 14th. And Erica, thank you so much for taking time to go live with us today. It was very fun and also informative. So good luck with the upcoming giveaways, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. for spending time with us, and we'll see you, and goodbye.